Hello and welcome to another episode of RGU Talk, the official podcast of Robert Gordon University. My name is Daniel and today we're going to be discussing what are the differences between a leader and a manager. I'm really excited about today's podcast and I think it'll be a really interesting discussion. I'm also delighted to introduce to you our guest for today, because who better to talk about the differences between what a manager and leader is than our own academic team lead for the MBA programme at Robert Gordon University, Dr Anita Singh. Hi, Anita.
Hi, Dan. Hello, everyone. I'm glad to be here and thank you for this opportunity, Dan.
Oh, thank you, Anita, for joining us today. To begin with, Anita, are you okay to maybe just to quickly give us a little bit of an introduction about yourself and your role within the university?
Of course, yes. My name is Anita and I'm a lecturer at Robert Gordon University, Aberdeen Business School. It is also my responsibility to take care of the MBA program and MSc Business Management programs. So my job title is Academic Team Lead, which is quite a tongue twister, isn't it? I'm just an MBA director for you today.
Thank you, Anita. And I know that the listeners today are really interested to learn a little bit about management in general, really, and especially around the differences between a leader and a manager. Maybe we can start with that question, really. So what do you feel are the major differences between what a leader is and what a manager is?
Well, that's a very interesting one, isn't it? What is the difference between a leader and a manager? Now, if you look at publications and journal articles and books, there are many opinions on this. But there's kind of a general consensus that leaders are visionaries. So they establish a direction, they align and motivate people to achieve certain goals, whereas managers are involved in more operational matters like planning, budgeting, maybe organizing, staffing, controlling, or doing some problem solving. So it's possible that the leaders don't have to manage or do operational things, but managers always have to lead. So they need to have the leadership traits. There's always a conflict when you are a manager. So again, management is at different levels. You could be a technical lead, for instance. All you need to know is a lot of technical stuff. You could be mid-manager, where you are not just doing technical leadership, you're also managing people. Or you could be slightly more senior, where you are a senior manager. So you have to do technical, you have to do people, and you have to also strategize and make a vision or a goal for your team. So in all circumstances, you need to have some of those leadership traits. There's always a conflict in an individual as a manager between whether he should or she should do more of leadership activities or more of management activities. And it is natural to be drawn towards your quarterly targets, the operational stuff, the budget, the productivity, the performance. So it's very important for a manager to remember that they are also leaders and not forget that they have to have a vision and motivate people and keep them engaged, empowered, and all of that. So that's basically the difference between a manager and a leader, I would say.
Wow, so it's quite extensive then, you would say. There's some of the differences, and I think some of the traits you mentioned there are really useful. Can you tell us more about those traits that you mentioned earlier? And is there any that you would say are really important for somebody to have to become an excellent leader?
Yes, it's extremely important a person to be a visionary, to be able to motivate people. I always give an analogy of a sports analogy here. Think of a football manager who stands outside the pitch and jumps around. Sometimes he even behaves like a schoolboy in a man's suit. He tries to motivate the team, makes them win or lose or whatever be the outcome. He is a manager, but he's also a leader because he's motivating the people, he's motivating his team, he's training his team, and he's taking a full responsibility of the win or the loss. That should be the most important quality in a manager. You are able to make people win. Give them the empowerment so that they are able to perform on the pitch, because you are not allowed on the pitch. You cannot go there and play for them. So I think that's one of the main qualities or the traits that a leader can have. There are several theories, and if you do any leadership training or if you do an MBA program, you would learn more about it. But yes, being a visionary, leading, having followers is something which is the most important trait in a leader.
Oh, and I think your analogy there of a football manager, I think it's something that is quite apparent at the moment, especially in relation to the European Championships. And when you were talking about that, I was looking, remembering some of the football games that I've watched over the last week or so, and some of the managers that you can see on pitch side trying to lead and motivate their team to perform better. So I was actually thinking when you were talking there, is there any leaders that you think do really well within their industry or their job, or any leaders that you feel that you would like to aspire to be?
That's a good question, Dan. Is there any leader who has kind of inspired me? I would say there have been quite a few of them, and I would not like to name names, but there have been leaders from whom I have learned what is it that I should be doing, and there are many from whom I have learned what is it that I shouldn't be doing. So micromanagement, absolutely not. Empowering your team, yes, we should do that. Setting goals which are achievable, yes. Giving proper support, both, a good mental well-being, of taking care of the mental well-being of your team, yes, you should be doing that. So some of these aspects are very important for me, and I would aspire to be like one of my managers who took care of the team, their competency development, their overall development, and the mental well-being. I think that's most important for any leader.
Thanks, Anita. So do you feel that people can actually learn the knowledge and skills to become a leader? Do you think it's something that they can learn and become better at as they get more experience and get older?
Can you learn leadership over that? That's an interesting question.
Mm-hmm.
My answer to that would be, well, not everyone can be Ben Stokes, but every individual can play cricket. Now, sitting in Scotland, you would say, I can't, but yes, you can. You can play cricket irrespective of what the weather conditions are or what the terrain of the land is. But leadership, just as cricket, is not a spectator sport. You can't just watch people and think that you will become one of them. Leadership has to be experiential. And that's exactly what we try to do within our own MBA program. That's how we teach leadership. We try to teach leadership in action. Unlike other subject matters, which we try to, have a bit of lecturing, and then we get people from the industry to come and share their experiences. Leadership is something which is on the top of our agenda in the MBA program, and we have a flagship offering, which is called the Leadership Week. Now, you'd ask me, what do we do in this Leadership Week? What is the concept of this Leadership Week? The basic concept is we want students to learn from each other. So all our students come onto the campus, if it is possible. Otherwise, for instance, this year it was fully online. But all our students from all over the globe come in together in one place and form a strong network, because they're all at mid-management level with 5 years, 7 years of work experience. They are able to meet each other, and we start with that strong networking and ice-breaking event for the whole day. And they do a lot of activities wherein, games, outdoor games, wherein they are able to demonstrate some amount of leadership. Then they also have 2 days of lecturing where they learn about the leadership theories and try and understand. And that is, the lectures are taken by eminent consultants teaching leadership. So there's a bit of an academic underpinning, and then that is followed by a business simulation exercise. Now, this business simulation exercise is an assessed exercise. It involves running a virtual company in teams, and the teams take strategic decisions. So the students are able to apply all the leadership theories that they have learned in the 2-day workshop. Everything from their own experience. They exchange their experiences with each other, because they've all either worked as managers or have worked under managers, and they take all the decisions. They are able to apply their finance, their economics, strategy, HR knowledge into that in running that virtual company. And then there's a winner in the business simulation, which actually gets really competitive. So here, what we are doing here, we are applying our knowledge and trying to be a leader in a simulated environment. In addition to this, another very key component of the Leadership Week, which extends from 7 to 9 days, is we get very eminent external speakers to come in. These speakers, they are chief executives, managing directors of large organizations within oil and gas, new energy, third sector, also non-energy sectors. They come and they share their experiences of what challenges they have faced as a leader, what challenges they have faced in bringing any organizational change within their organizations. We've had some very eminent people in our leadership week. For instance, this year, the CEO of Wood, Robin Watson, was kind enough to come and present to our students. We had CEO of Mencap, we had CEOs of Oil and Gas UK, OGA. They were all kind enough to come and share their experiences with our students, and students were able to interact with them. So a lot of networking did happen, although online this year, but students were able to learn from them, and they went back and we got excellent feedback, and we always get excellent feedback of our leadership week program, because students actually feel that that's what other leaders are doing in the industry just now. How different are they? Because they go back and they write a reflective report on what did they learn from the leadership week. And a lot of them come back with really, really personalized experiences, that how they were leading the team, or how they thought that the team should be led, and what were the problems that they were facing, and how they have improved themselves as leaders. So leadership in action, your question was, can you learn leadership? We try to train people. We try to train people to play cricket. How well they play is on them. How much of it they are able to imbibe. But definitely, you can't learn leadership by reading a book or attending a training program. You have to put it into action and get into the grind. Go through the furnace, I would say, in order to become a leader.
Thanks, Anita. And I think from what you were saying there about the MBA program, it's really very practical as well. So the students can get a lot of skills from attending the program rather than just learning theory. So I think my next question actually is around, do you feel that the MBA will help students to progress in their career and actually make them maybe more employable in the future?
Well, just getting an academic degree or a knowledge can help you reach an interview room, because when people filter the CVs that they receive, I've been in industry myself and I've done these things. Of course, an MBA will help you get in there into the room. But whether you are successful in that interview, or how successful you are after you've secured the role, will depend very much on how much you are able to apply what you've learned in an MBA program, which is the reason why, or any program, why just an MBA program, any academic program or a course that you are doing, how much you're able to apply. So our target is therefore to make our course, the MBA course, really, really application-based. A very important component of our MBA program is a consultancy project. What we do is, once the students have done all their modules and they have done the leadership week, the students have to then work on a real assignment. So the students do a consultancy project for an organization. They're able to put into practice all the leadership and strategic thinking skills on a problem of that organization. So they pick up a problem. It could be anything. It could be new business development, new area of business development. It could be a new organizational structure. It could be energy transition roadmap, or any strategic problem or area that the organization is working towards. So our students go and work on that for a period of about 5 to 6 months. They're able to apply all the knowledge that they have. They also face the challenge of working in a new setting. They earn valuable experience by working there, and then they present a report. They just don't write a report, they also present it with implementable recommendations. And I'm really proud to say that some of our clients have said that the reports that our students have produced, and we have made more than 200 of these by now, they are of the quality of some of the very renowned consultants in the field, and the clients would have had to probably pay 5,000, 7,000, 10,000 for that kind of a report, but they've got it obviously for free from our students. Some of our students also work on business proposals, so a business idea which they are wanting to implement, and we give them the academic and the subject matter support from within the university. and they start their business. And we have excellent examples. We have Imran, Ibar. Some of these students have actually worked on the business proposal as the MBA student, and now they are flourishing entrepreneurs and businesses. We're very proud of these students. So going back to your question, does getting an MBA help in career progression or employability? Yes, it does. But the thing is, you have to apply it and learn it in a very application-based manner so that you are able to draw the benefits from everything that you learn from your university program.
That's really interesting to know, actually, and really, I'm really happy to hear that some of our students who've taken the MBA program are doing really well at the moment now as well. That's brilliant to hear. So I think my next question is maybe around the challenges that leaders face. And is it possible you could maybe tell me two of the biggest challenges that leaders are facing today in this fast changing world?
Oh, yes, we know that there are so many. Leaders always have challenges they've already had, and that's the reason why leadership has been a point of discussion right from the days of Aristotle. We started talking about management much later, in the late 19th century or so, but leadership has always been there, and they have always had the challenges. If you ask me today, sitting here, I can think of two biggest challenges which the leaders are facing, especially sitting in Aberdeen in northeast of Scotland, which is the energy capital of this region. The biggest problem is the problem of sustainability and energy transitions, I would say, and diversity and inclusion. So I'll take each one of them in turn. We know that worldwide there's an increase in the demand for energy. On the one hand, the demand for energy is increasing with increase in population, industrialization, and all of that. On the other hand, there's also an ever increasing awareness of environmental impact of the conventional source of energy and the climate change, which is so important. Well, we know that we can't afford to abandon the existing energy sources, but we need to use these energy sources with minimal emissions or zero emissions, and we have to swiftly move towards new energy, which is the reason why the challenge for today's managers is to upskill their workers, their employees, to be able to achieve this goal. I think RGU's MBA in sustainability and energy transition is a step in the right direction, and we are here to help industry, the local industry, industry at the global level, to train their employees to be able to be well equipped to face the challenges related to sustainability and energy transition. The second challenge, which came up in every lecture in the Leadership Week this year and is there in every newspaper and every articles that you read, is diversity and inclusion. Now, diversity is being managed by organizations. You must have read about people saying, it's just a dashboard exercise and all of that, because diversity is of various kinds. It's diversity of race, diversity of gender. There are various kinds of diversity of thinking and all of that. Now, diversity can be managed because you can manage the numbers. Inclusion is a challenge, isn't it? So diversity by its very nature is conflictual. Differences don't generate harmony. It is very, very important that organizations take a step towards it and take some, concrete action to achieve inclusion within their organization. At RGU, diversity and inclusion is very, very important for us. And we are continuously trying to create, incorporate, and develop the culture of diversity and inclusion within our courses, our programs, and our day-to-day lives. So I think these are the two challenges, Dan, and as MBA director, I take it as my responsibility to ensure that we equip our students with the skills required to move into a new energy world, of a cleaner world, sustainable world with the diversity and inclusion, which is so important.
Thanks, Anita. Really well said. And I think that brings our podcast session for today to a close. So I'd like to thank Anita for joining us today and giving us what has really been a very useful insight into leadership and management. And I'd like to say a big thank you to all our listeners who have tuned in and joined us for this session too. If you would like to know more about RGU or our MBA program, then please do visit our website or follow us on all our social media channels, including Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Wherever you are in the world, we hope you have a fantastic day. And again, thank you for joining.